I was just sitting here, like, just feeling grateful, really, because I remember when I graduated high school, and I mean, honestly, like before I was gonna graduate, I talked to my mom, and I was like, "Oh, I think you know what I mean." Like my mom said, "Well, I don't have no money to send you to college, and um, you know what I mean. Like I don't, we don't have any money to get you anything to get you a car, so I can't really help you." And I said, "That's fine." I said, "That's fine." So, anyways, I said, "Well, I'm not just gonna stick around and do nothing." You know what I mean? So I said, "Whatever." Like I joined the army. Because the biggest thing with me is like I don't know. It was just like in my heart. And to be honest, I was like, you know what? I like a challenge. Let me see what I can learn. And not so much in the way like I think like physically, like it was a challenge for me, like to see what I can do and how far I can get and you know what I mean, like how much I can learn. Anyways, I get out, right? And I realized like because I had the kids and all that. So like even though I did not finish college, I went to college for like a couple months, and I had one of my friends like help me with the math. And anyways, like I was not like I think I was more interested. One time, one of the girls had to take a final, and she didn't have a babysitter, so I was like, "Oh, I watched your baby," and I watched the baby. I said, "Oh God, this is great!" I took the baby. I took the kid to get um like a bunch of like toys and trucks. I would have bought the kid more stuff, you know what I mean? Like I was just having a blast. I said, this is such an honor, to hang out with the kid, So it's like, anyways, like I started to learn not so much in the class, but like in my everyday living. So I said, you know what? Like the best school is through other people. You know what I mean? Because even if somebody else doesn't think like you, um, they have so much you have, especially the people that don't think like you. You know what I mean? Because that opens your mind. Because not everything that we think that we agree with at 22, we end up agreeing at 40. You know what I mean? Because we evolve. But that starts with somebody different, with another opinion. So, like, I started to do that. I started to get to know. I did that in high school too. To be honest with you, in high school, I learned a lot about how we all, because I would go to my friends' houses and I would meet the parents. And look, I would not tell anybody I didn't learn. I would watch and I'd be like, oh, I see how they grew up. I can go back to, you know what I mean? I like the people. I love the people. Like, and I always say, I'm in the business of the heart. And I started to go to put, well, actually, God, honestly, it was God. Like, I guess God helped me get through the school of life. And obviously, it started very young, you know what I mean? Because look, I like being by myself. I like being at home. Like a lot of summers I did spend by myself, you know what I mean? Until like, like maybe later on in high school when I found like my group of like girlfriends and then, you know what I mean, we would hang out and stuff. But like a lot of times like I liked being at home, you know what I mean? Cause I studied the people so much and not in the way that for judgment, it was trying to understand them and trying to grow within myself. You know what I mean? Because there was a lot of things in school that not everything, like some of the stuff, I was like, all right, how much am I going to be able to use this and this? Some of the, like history, I knew that would come in handy for me. Well, I just love history. I totally, totally, totally love history. And with math, I see numbers as spiritual. So I was like, all right, you know, um, it wasn't like, I mean, I got to like algebra and a little bit higher, but like, I was like, I'm not sure. Cause a lot of the thing with me is like, I'm sure it just wasn't, I don't know, like, yeah, once you get to calculus, honestly, I lose interest. It's just not. I don't know. I don't know. I think I'm missing that part of the brain. But anyways, I said, you know what? I really like to learn my own inner strengths, because I remember a couple times, like, look, I would get picked on, right? So there was this kid, and he loved picking on me. So he would ask me things like, look, he knew I came from a simple beginning, right? So he started picking on me, like, he would ask me a question, right? And he was always like making fun. So I would make it even funner. I wouldn't tell him, but I would make up extra shit. I already knew he was gonna laugh at me and tell everybody how he got me. I'd be like, yeah, buddy, you got me, And I never, actually, this is the first time that I've said it out loud like this, like spoken about it, like kind of specific, you know what I mean? Like, and I've done that throughout my life. And it wasn't because I was making fun of him. I just wanted to push myself in a way where I wanted to be able to take somebody's criticism or batching and see how I can grow, within myself. And not just that, but I was like, you know what? Though, in a way, I'm like, if that makes him feel better, that's who he is. Because I know a lot of kids that pick, it's not really because it's unhealthy. We all learn unhealthy behaviors, and then we got to unlearn them, and then we got to learn a different way of life. You know what I mean? It comes before us and before us and before us. I know that. So I was in high school, but didn't really feel like a high schooler. You know what I mean? Because I was just like the other day, I talked to my son Alex, and he was like, "Yeah, I just have to let them mature," and that's exactly how I felt from elementary to junior high to high school. I said, yeah, they're not very mature. To be honest with you, I didn't really even like to really date some of the guys in the school, especially when I got to high school. I was like, you know what I mean? Because I had studied people well since probably kinder, you know what I mean? I would just watch, you know what I mean? But then it got, I got a little more into it, and then I pushed myself even more. So I said, you know what? Like, in a way, I was thankful that I was able to go to school, the school of the hard knocks, because I was able to not only learn from a third perspective, like outside, like from an outside perspective, wanting to really give advice. I had to go through every experience from, like, look, in addiction. I had to go, first I went through the experience of having a father with addiction. So I went through that and learned through that. You know what I mean? I stuck around with that. And then through my stepdad. And then seen him clean. And then I went through my own addiction, my own depression. And then come out the other side. I was able to experience the difficulties of loving somebody, but realizing that you have no control over their lives, their decisions, their healing, none of it, right? And which helped me to see how others felt, like the people that loved me, you know what I mean? Anyways, it was all a lot, like, because I take notes, but I don't write them down. I just feel them. Like, that's the best way I learn a lot of times, is I feel things. So my soul takes note of every feeling. I think that's why I'm so connected to music. You know what I mean? Because my soul is so aware and takes notes. Even when I was walking through the valley of the shadow of death, I had, like, it wasn't like I was pretty broken. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty broken. But in a way, it helped me what I had gone through before that. Like, and plus, not even just that. It was, I've always believed in God. So as much as people would downgrade me or think that I was devilish, I never was. So that actually made no sense, and that actually didn't even touch me in that way, because I'm like, no, no, look, I've been going to church since I was a little girl. I went to church so much, I think I get grounded from going to church. That's how much I went to church. You know what I mean? I was always knocking. At I went to both Catholic and Christian. You know what I mean? So I went to every church and any church that I could go to because I like to learn about God through different eyes. You know what I mean? Because not everybody preaches the same. Not everybody's faith is the same. Not everybody's honesty is the same. Not everybody that preaches and says that they love God. So I said, huh. So I started to see that. Well, anyways, I'm just thankful for the School of the Hard Knocks. Thankful to God. And just beyond grateful for even breathing today and my children, especially my children. Thank you.